space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Retrek. I'm Captain Jim. With me, of course, Sir Admiral Elliot.
Hi there.
And Dr. Squee.
And I was a traitor this whole time, Dragon!
And we're here to talk about the latest two episodes. Well, not the latest two, because, 20 years ago. But the two episodes of the Dominion War
the press is from 97 or whatever.
There is some almost Trek news.
There is
rumours that have come out this past week.
There is indeed.
I don't know if mine's the same as yours, but it's regarding Legacy.
Oh,
go on then.
Oh.
That well, actually, I have two pieces of Trek news. But the first one, Legacy, there's a lot of rumours coming out that Paramount are wanting to reduce their production costs by 30%. And they've done a deal with Amazon for Legacy. And Amazon are going to pick up the 30% on the same deal they had with Picard, where it'll go out on Paramount on a Thursday and Amazon on the Friday. And we should be getting the start of the new series. Well, we should be getting the new series at the start of 25.
I mean, when I say
Sorry,
money,
the
I
end
mean
of 25.
Yeah, do they just not want subscribers anymore? Have they just given up? Like, it's like, look, we're tokenistically keeping it up for now, but let's face it, white flag.
And this is actually a genuine one. There's one of my Facebook groups that I'm on, Star Trek Modelers Group, and Terry Matalas, the producer for season 3 Picard, went on it today and asked somebody if they could make him an actual physical model of the Enterprise D at studio scale with the how it's for the ending. And what the first person who commented on it was John Eaves, who designed the Enterprise E, and said, "I can knock that up for you." So there's looks like we're getting a physical model of the Enterprise D.
Do you know, that might tie into, because the other Trek news, which I think, I know Jim's aware of, is that a photo was released today from Section 31. It had Michelle Yeoh. It was covered by a clapperboard, but you could see her eyebrows were arched up, and many have speculated that she's might be a Romulan undercover Section 31 in the time she'd end up in. I wonder if maybe that's a bit of a misnomer, because obviously in Legacy time, those two ships aren't in commission, and E, as far as I know, was it destroyed in World?
Yeah,
it's heavily implied.
Implied, and Worf was responsible.
Oh yeah, so I wonder if in that's maybe for Section 31, maybe the time she ends up in, we get to see a little bit of a sneak peek of the two Enterprises. And especially if she is moving through time.
No,
we don't know.
It's asked for the Enterprise D from the end of Picard, where it's got the Seriko's engine section. That's what it's asked for. The physical model of the CGI.
I don't know, but it still could be, depending, because we don't know what time she's in. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, or it could be like the Enterprise D I would get, but yeah, as I say, the implications we've all said was that the Enterprise E was destroyed.
Well, we don't know if he wants it for filming or if he just wants it as a personal model for his own personal thing, because he went on the modelers group and asking specifically. And
I'm thinking of that size though, and if he's like show running one of the shows, and I don't know if is he involved in Section 31.
I don't know.
Not that I'm aware of.
I just thought that people might like to know that. The showrunner is actually being on site asking for a physical model to be built for him. And John Eaves was the first person to comment. And when I can knock that up for you.
I mean, geez, you'd have to have a big house if you're getting it a studio size for your house. I mean, it might be, but that seems extreme to me. But who knows?
Well, it's all interesting stuff, and yeah, the Section 31, the speculation is running rampant now because she is covering her eyebrow and her ear. So,
but you
that
can't
could
see enough the eyebrow.
imply-
It's arching up. It's definitely arching up.
Yeah, a little bit.
She's never had her eyebrows like that.
Like we have seen
Until the
Starfleet.
Makeup Man, but we've never seen her eyebrows like that previously.
We have seen Starfleet officers of the time period around Discovery anyway, or just after Discovery season 1, who have, or season 2 as well, that have done Romulan disguising with surgery.
Oh yeah, well we've seen it in pretty much all the Treks. You know, it's like one time or another going undercover as a Romulan. That's kind of like the tick list of Trek franchises.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
It does.
they even had like in
I'm
the first
sure-
episode with the Romulans in. You had Sarek undercover as a Romulan agent. I mean, he
Yeah.
looked like he died in that episode.
And
Or
I'm
did
sure
just for
we'll
some
get more details as now that filming's started. I'm sure we'll start to get a little bit more of insight into what exactly the Section 31 movie might be.
I
but
hope
we'll
we don't
cover-
get too much because I like surprises, as you know.
Oh yeah,
So do I, but
It's one of these things, and I'm going to have to avoid Star Trek groups for the next, maybe a year, just so I don't see what's coming in Section 30, the Section 31 movie. I'd like to be surprised when I see it. And
so do I. But I must admit, like if it's just a photo, like that is great for speculation. It doesn't really tell you. It just gets
I'm
juices
fine.
flowing. Yeah.
I'm fine with that with
That
the
kind of
photo. But if people start leaking stuff in,
Yeah.
then you
there'll
start getting
be.
half a dozen trailers of different shots and all that. Don't show me.
Oh, you
it
will
all.
get. That's what I was going to say. You will get half a dozen trailers. That'll be very hard to avoid. But
I mean, well, it's easy
well,
to
that's it,
avoid
'cause-
trailers because you just don't watch them, but it's still
I know.
photos. If they give something away, it's a bit
Yeah.
harder.
It's like trailers of the trailer that they like to do now.
Oh God, yeah!
They do.
I was watching the trailer for Ghostbusters, the new one, Frozen Empire. It was the first time I'd seen the extended one they've now released. Oh God! First of all, brought tears to my. Genuinely, I was on the bus. It was quite embarrassing, and genuinely, I started welling up because there's so many nods to the original film. But at the beginning of it, they've done what they've started doing now of having like a 10-second mini trailer at the beginning of the trailer. It's like, just show me the fucking trailer. Like what? Is 3 minutes too much for us to watch for? What are we conservative members of the cabinet? What,
There
they
is
only watch
actually
the film,
a
right?
reason for that.
Is it a Whitford?
They do it because because most people are watching them on a mobile device and they're not sure of the connection and whatnot. So they put in a little blurb of a trailer at the start so that it gives you connection time to stabilize so that you can actually watch the whole thing. So that's actually the reason why
Just
trailers
pause
do that.
bloody trailer for a minute.
Well, people don't, and the studios think
it's that they're actually doing blipverts and we're all going to blow up eventually.
I do
Maybe.
think there is a genuine thing of like
Anyone who's
they
old
might
enough
have
to
said
remember
that,
Max
Steve.
Headroom will get that.
I'm sure the thing of like the mini trailers, so in case someone's buffering, I'm sure that's true on some level. But I think there's also a thing of like, they've only got 5 seconds attention span, so we better kind of just pander to it. Show me the bloody
possibly so. Anyway, so the episodes we're looking at this week are It's Only a Paper Moon and Chimera. And as we alluded to last week, this is the last time that we're skipping episodes once we
No,
start
it's not.
next week. Yes, it is.
We're skipping one
Once-
more episode.
Yeah, once we start next week, we
Yeah.
won't be skipping any more episodes.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, It's Only a Paper Moon then, which is very much it follows up on the plot point of Nog losing his leg, which we
Yeah.
had last week.
It's not really a Dominion. In fact, it's quite fair to say both episodes are only Dominion War adjacent. They're not actually
Yes.
part.
Yeah.
They're not actually part of it, which is very odd for how we've done this
I-
series to pull 2 episodes out at the same time. But it's just how they've fallen.
And I've got to say, I mean, Paper Moon, I particularly want to do just because it's like, if we don't do it now, it links so much to the other episode. which
Exactly.
the second part to it, basically. Yeah.
It just makes sense to do it
Yeah.
straight.
It would
Yeah,
be weird to miss that
absolutely.
out because when else do you do it apart from
Yeah.
if there's
And it's
National PTSD Day, you know?
it's important that this is a study of the impacts of the war, so it's an important episode to cover.
It's
And
one
it's
of
a far.
I was off to say it's one of the few times they've really tried to do PTSD. Discovery keeps hinting that they're going to do it and then not doing it.
Discovery never quite landed that, did they?
No.
Which is a shame. But anyway, so yeah, this is all about Nog, and there's a weird bit at the beginning. Like, it starts off, they do this whole bit where they're going up to him and like, oh, can you believe it? Says he's down to light duties. Oh, he must be taking the piss with that. I'm like, that's a bit harsh.
Yes. Well, Councillor Esri just should be struck off just for that moment alone. That's a dick move.
You have also got the thing that it's all psychological with him. They have given him a full bill of health.
No, but that's the thing. It is psychological. That's the reason you don't do it.
Yeah.
His mind's fried. Like, his psychological effects because he's feeling pain in the leg, which shouldn't have pain. So they know at very least he's got some. And even if you don't, surely you test the waters and see the guy before you go, lazy.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like, maybe get a feel for where his mind's at before you go all in with taking the piss. But anyway, and this is where we get this thing about his cane, and he does talk to Esri about it. That, I mean, I get where Nog's coming from, but we see more and more as this episode goes on that he is overly sensitive, that he's convinced everyone's looking at his cane all the time and looking at his leg all the time. And so, all that is part of what he's going through. But they plant the seeds of that early on by having him getting really defensive about it early.
I think also there's a thing which is like, there's some stuff which he sort of seems to fall ass backwards into as a counsellor, Esri, in this episode. But some of the stuff she comes up with is like, I think it's totally valid to just let them go off and do whatever and just see what happens. It's like later on she does explain a bit more that it's like, well, sometimes people can reveal what like they're going through. I think is what they were going through for with it.
Yeah,
she says something along those lines, but it's like some of the other stuff she says is just like, that's batshit. You don't just go, let's see what happens. Let's let a hologram just do that. Like, I know we like Vic, but it's like, still.
I think it's like we've got that thing like through some of the episodes we've missed that we skipped out at the start of this season. And there's a lot of these things where they're trying to shoehorn things about Esri in. Yeah. And that's because they got rid of Terry Farrell, which they should never have done. It was ridiculous, but they did the decision. Nothing against Nicole DeBoer. Love her to bits.
No. Great actor.
She's a great actor.
Yeah.
But you have these things where they're trying to make her do stuff, and it's too forced because you haven't got. I haven't had 6 years previously to see a style of how she does the counselling.
Mm-hmm. But I agree. But this is the one of the occasions where she's got a full episode. Like, she is the second, I'd say, third, because you've got Vic Fontaine. She's the third sort of highest, most screen time in this.
Yeah.
She's got so much time for them to put in pearls of wisdom of counselling. And it doesn't feel like they've done any research into counselling. They've just gone, it sounds like a good idea. Let's just do that.
Well, it gets, to me, it almost plays like they're playing it like, this is a really massively well-established character that we've seen years of their style and these strange things work without any groundwork to it for us to actually get that. And that's what I mean, that it seems like the style of counselling is being shoehorned in.
I get it.
Without the groundwork.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
Sorry, Jim. After you, mate.
I get the impression it's like a lot of Esri's character is she's not sure of herself and she's growing into herself and she's adjusting to all these memories and everything like that. And it's almost like they extend that to what she's like in her professional life.
Yeah.
Whereas I think it would be much more interesting if Esri, as a person before she got the symbiont, was a very good counsellor. Yes. And then we see how Dax plays into that. Whereas it just seems like she's just not prepared for anything, including the things she should be prepared for, which is a bit of a disservice, I think, to the character.
And I think so. I was just waiting to come with this point, because I think that if they had done that, like, they didn't even introduce the stuff which they do in loads of other episodes, introducing the fact that she's finding herself, she's like not quite herself because she wasn't expecting to have the Jack syndrome, blah blah blah. They don't even mention that. That's not even brought in. And it's just bad counseling, to be honest with you. I feel like all they had to do was get one counselor on board and go, right, what's this like? What's it like to be a counselor? Like Counselor Troy, when she gave sessions, I felt like they'd done some research. They put some genuine counseling techniques in there. This just seems like, that sounds good. Worked for the plot. Fuck it. It's just, it does a disservice to the profession, to be honest with you, and counselling. It makes it sound like just making it up as they go.
It's almost like the forgotten 7 years of that they had of making the next gen and having a counsellor on board and knowing how to write for a counsellor.
Yeah, and I don't know if they did research it for next gen, but it certainly the stuff counselling theories that I know.
They do keep having these meetings that Nog isn't present for, because Nog's away on the holodeck, and then we get all these meetings which are not Starfleet meetings because they're bringing in Jake, who's his friend, and whatnot, and they're all just sat around going, "Oh, we're really worried about him, and I'm not sure he's doing it." Like, maybe someone should speak to Nog rather than just leaving him with the hologram guy.
I do like how they all have a go at Bashir, and it's like they start like, this is in this stupid program, the Vic Fontaine, and then someone goes, it could be worse. It could be the Davy Crockett or the Viking.
Yeah, that's fun.
And you've got different ones all slagging his programs. And you just go,
what's up with the private eye?
Going, hey, what? Can't leave it out.
Which is reasonable, because Bashir should just go, look, these were designed for fun. I didn't make them to counsel people through extreme PTSD. Know what I mean?
And maybe we should be talking about Nog, not dissing my choice of hologram program. Holographic program.
That's having a go at his choice of hologram program, exactly the sort of thing that would drive a man to go live on the holodeck. And
Nog just went there because they take the piss out of something that he was watching on there. But and also Jake is all over the dial on this. He's like so concerned, and then the first chance he gets, he just has a go at Nog. Not like he listens to music. I get that's driving him nuts, but he didn't like. We don't see him first go. It's like, hey Nog, look, I'm sorry. I need to get.
Yeah.
Would you mind turning it down? It's like you'd at least try that first, wouldn't you?
I think that bit's played almost as if Nog's been back there all night and played the same tune.
Yeah, I think
I get that. That wasn't my point. I get that.
It's implicated that it's been played through
the
whole night, and it's like, come on.
No,
like,
what I'm saying is,
I actually did that at a job once that I was really pissed off with the owners, and I'd handed my notice in, and I wanted them to sack me so I could get paid for my notice, and it worked, and I played the same song on a loop for the entire shift.
No, you missed my point, though. I wasn't saying I get that it's been played all night, but Jake, at no point did we see him going up to him first. Like maybe earlier in the night, they could have had him going up and just going, "Hey, Nog, would you mind just like sorry, you've been playing it like for an hour now, and then maybe you show him go. But like if you just go, hey, what the fuck? Like he knows he's got PTSD, he knows he's traumatized, and he thinks that's the way to deal with him playing his song a bit too much. It just makes Jake look like a dick when he's been concerned about him for the rest of the episode.
I mean, all of this really is set up to get us to Nog goes to live with Vic. But it could have been less clumsily handled, I suppose.
Well, later on, when Nog is a dick to Jake's girlfriend as him, they could have just done that. It's like he comes in nicely and Nog goes, "Oh, I'm sorry if this song bothers you. I'm just trying to get over it." Like, really gone for him. And that's when he goes, "Oh, geez, why don't you just go somewhere else and listen to, go to the holodeck if you want to listen to that." He kind of snaps because he snapped at. That would at least give him a reason to be such a cock about it. Like, it just makes it look like Jake's not considering anything, which he does for the rest of the episode. Sorry, I'll leave that laboured point now.
I think we can all agree that it's a bit sloppy as the beginning of this episode.
Yeah. But I do, once we get him onto the holodeck, I do enjoy the things they do there. Like, we've got this scene where they're watching the old films and Nog's watching Shane and he's annoyed that bullet wounds, the characters seem to get over it really quickly, which I think's a really nice touch to put in.
But you've also got he's also a bit shocked. It's almost if he expects it to be real, like he has actually been shot, but it's just been shot. Where's the blood?
Yeah,
and I almost got the impression that Nog was watching it as if he was watching an historic newsreel and not watching an historic movie.
Well, if he had said that, if they played it like that, it would have made more sense. Because I honestly did enjoy quite a lot of this episode, but this bit annoyed me because it's like they've got holodeck programs. He's just said it's a movie, so he knows it's a movie, and he's going,
yeah,
but he's just been shot. It's like, what, in no holodeck program do they ever kind of skip past the injured part to get on with stuff, like in, say, Bashir's, like, Spy one?
I think though I get where he's coming from here, like, not to bring it back to like experiences I've had, but I noticed after I was in a coma and I had PTSD from that and whatnot, and I did start to notice in films that people just shake off a coma and they're up and walking about in 2 minutes, and that isn't what happens. Your legs atrophy and you have to learn how to walk again. And I wouldn't say, like, as it does with Nog here, it doesn't trigger me seeing that in a film. I'm like, yeah, I get that it's a fiction. But I can relate to Nog's feeling. Like, it's not that he doesn't know that they fictionalize these things. It's that because of what's just happened to him, that rankles him at this moment in time. It's not coming from a place of ignorance. It's that it's just hit a nerve, and I can see why he would feel like that.
I
thought it was like kind of like he seemed to be smiling at it. I thought it was. I mean, like that would make more sense to me if he was rankled by it. It didn't seem to be a rankle reaction because it's nothing compared to what you went through, Jim. But when I came off my bike and I broke my arm, like it's the same thing of kind of retraining your arm. I imagine the next week it would be absolutely, it would be in a sling, but it'd be okay. Whereas like every time I moved, it hurt, which like you never really see that in TV shows much. It's like after they've broken it, they just walk around fine, their arms in the sling. And I got kind of reaction from like, where I was on the ground just after I came off, like because there was cars behind me, my ear was right to the ground and I heard a car moving around me. It turns out it was moving to stop the traffic. But I thought I was gone. I thought I was going to get run over, and that stayed with me for a long time. So I get that kind of PTSD reaction. It was just he seemed to be laughing, which I don't know. Maybe I need to watch that.
That was the way I read it. That it wasn't that he didn't believe it. It was that he was aggrieved that they were trivializing things in that way. That was the way I took it, and I found it to be quite a powerful scene in that respect. But on a lighter note, when Vic gives him his new cane, this is quite good move by Vic. Like, I'll give him a cane that's a bit fragile so he can't put as much weight on it.
And it looks pimp and has a lighter in it.
Exactly. It's got the novelty cigarette lighter, which exactly. And it's cool. It's not as cool as a gun that is actually a cigarette lighter. That is the pinnacle form of novelty lighter, but I think this is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
so I will go with that.
And as Nog says, it kind of looks a bit like the Grand Negus, just to really make it perfect for Nog.
Mm.
Like, because even though he's not like in the Ferengi business world, like as per se, he's obviously a very proud Ferengi, and I think symbols like the Negus cane would still mean a lot to him. I like that. That's like a nice touch.
And within this world that him and Vic are living in at the minute, he is playing a much more Ferengi role because he's doing the books and he's doing all that, and he's exactly, and he's running a casino, or, running the business. So yeah, I think he'd like to be cosplaying a bit as the Grand Negus at this point. Jake then taking his date. It's actually walking stick with flame stickers would be awesome. It would.
Oh man, watch House. He gets an episode.
I was going to say, didn't House have one?
Sorry, man. Didn't
I seem to remember what you need is a cane with a metal skull on top.
Because
there was
it was when House goes into the thing and he goes like, no, I want a really cool stick. And he's looking through and he picks up the one with the flames and it goes, now this is bitching.
Canes are cool. Like I'm waiting for my knee to get a little bit bad, a little bit worse than it is, but then I'm definitely going to start rocking a cane. Anyway, so Jake taking his date on the holodeck. It's only just occurred to me, but it's probably that Jake thinks, oh, going to see my friend will be good, and I'll take my date, and he'll get to socialize a little bit more. That's probably what it is, but it might be that Jake's gone, oh, I'll book a really cool holosuite program for it. And then he gets there and Quark's, oh, I'm sorry, the only one we've got, it's Nog. That's the only one that's running. You're going to have to take her in there.
Yes, because I was checking on my friend, really. Sorry, that's what I meant. Sorry, did you misconstrue? That I was just trying to get laid. Sorry.
No, I think you're wrong there, because Quark does have several holosuites.
He does.
I think that was a joke.
It was a joke. I do like the bit earlier on, though, where Quark's saying who's going to pay for the holosuite. Oh, I suppose I'll have to do it. That's quite good.
And it's greatly appreciated.
The only thing I think I would have liked in this episode, like at this point, where they've done, we were talking about when the first part of part one, I guess, AR Siege of whatever. We talked about how Quark was played less for laughs than that. I kind of would have liked Rom to have been a bit more like that. Like, he's his dad, and he kind of almost gets sidelined in this episode. Yeah. I know in their kind of like family unit, Quark usually takes lead. I would have loved him to have told Quark to shut up and you can pay for them. Give him a moment. And I feel like they understand in this. Like all the other Ferengis get moments like that. And I know Rom does stand up to people at certain points, but this seemed like the perfect moment to have him play it completely straight, which he doesn't.
I do feel like, though, that they save Nog to play an important role at the end, because it's like Jake doesn't get through to him, but his dad goes to see him, and that. Oh, so Rom, yes, sorry. So it is when Rom goes to see him that it starts to break through. So I thought they used him well in that respect. But it's, I mean, we've sort of covered the ins and outs of the plots, really, that they start expanding the casino business and all this, and there's a nice moment where you can see that Vic starts to enjoy it as well, and they talk about it like, I don't get switched off anymore. It's, I get to live a life.
It comes out with the Philip K. Dick's, doesn't it? Because Nog asks him to holograms dream when he goes to bed that he's tired.
Yeah, of course.
I also like the idea that it's like, well, to begin with, I think when he talks about being tired and stuff, I felt like it was a bit of a ploy to like, oh, I'm so tired and I've got these books to do. Like it was to draw Nog in. But the more he said it, the more he started going, actually, I do get to be on 24/7. I get to have a life a bit. And that's when he starts to get seduced by it. But I like the fact that it was all part of his ploy, which just kind of like he forgets he's playing a game.
I think at first, I think when he first was going to Nog, I've got this to do and I've got that to do, was almost trying to get Nog to leave the holodeck.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But then when Nog takes over, like Ezra's saying that there's progress with Nog, but she goes to Vic and Vic's got the casino growing, and Vic has almost forgotten that it's all about making Nog better, and he's interested in his life, and he's sort of like has to remember, Nog, almost that Vic has got caught up in doing his own thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it almost becomes sort of like an addiction for Nog, that he's gone too far into the fantasy and they need to draw him back out now. It's like he's done his healing, or he's done it as much as he can on there. Yeah. And you know what it is? The holodeck becomes the cane. That's what he's leaning on, is the holodeck. Instead of physically leaning on a cane, he's leaning on this fictionalized world that he's made in there.
Because you start seeing it and he's not using the cane, and it's like when Vic first gives him like a cane and he goes, oh, well, I don't need to put my full weight on it.
Yeah.
And then you see when he's greeting other people and all that, he stops using the cane and he's flashing it round and stuff.
Well, that's the thing. It's when Ezri starts talking to him, and he looks over and he sees him clearly not using the cane. And it's like this is one bit where I think the counselling was correct. You know, she was going, God, of course, this was all part of your game. You knew that Jake didn't need this anymore, and you've purposely set X, Y, and Z up, and that's really nice. I think that makes her seem like a credible counselor in that moment, and you know,
So she's
without
better at
embarrassing
counselling the hologram than she is at counselling the real person with PTSD.
Yeah,
So she's really good with holograms who are temporarily upset.
This is what they never brought up, is that she was a specialist in holograms which are temporarily upset.
Yeah.
That was her field in counselling. So no wonder I didn't recognize the concept, because it hasn't been invented yet. I feel like an idiot now.
Well, that's it. She probably works at that wherever it is where all the copies of the Doctor are cleaning the shit out of the pipes.
Mines,
That's she probably just counsels all of them, so that's all right. Yeah, and probably a lot of work, given what we know of the Doctor's temperament, and then having to do that job. Ezri's probably got a work cut out for her there. But yeah, ultimately Vic does the right thing and gets Nog to come off the holodeck. And there's a really nice scene with O'Brien where Nog starts to open up a little bit.
Where Vic has had enough of him, hasn't he? And he goes end program.
Well, I don't think he's had enough. I think he's doing it to himself as well. It's
for his own good, isn't it? Yeah.
But it's when he says end program and you just see Jake on the floor, like that is one of the most powerful acting performances. Just like, bravo to the late great Aaron
Eisenberg.
Aaron Eisenberg, fantastic performance like that. I felt that, and I've seen people in dramatic situations, and that just was next level. That was great.
Yeah, because it's to go back to the metaphor, but it's instantly his walking stick, metaphorical walking stick, gets yanked away, and he's exposed again, and you get a nice scene where you see how his mind transitions from I can't cope without it to I'm going back to the real world, where he is chatting with O'Brien and he's frantically trying to, in inverted commas, fix the holodeck, but we know it can't be fixed. And over the course of that conversation, it gets to acceptance that he's gonna go back into the real world.
It's when he starts saying, it's like here it doesn't, like, nothing matters, fine, I know I'm safe, basically. And that is such a powerful metaphor for stuff which didn't even exist. And I think a lot of us can find it easy to lose ourselves in games and in the internet and in the kind of social media world. It's very easy to lose yourself in that world and tune out from your real life because it's safer, because it's easier. And this seems to shadow, like, it seems so pathetic watching it back now.
Well, it's safer and easier until the mob bosses turn up in the next episode, but there we go. So yeah, we leave Nog in a place where he's back on limited duty, and he's realised that he's not okay yet, but he will be eventually.
And we have the nice bit at the end when he's realised that, and Vic turns himself back on.
Yeah,
and all like that.
That's it.
Just say, "Well done, Kate," basically.
And he's on for 24/7 after that.
Oh, he can.
Yeah, he is. Isn't
no,
he?
they said that.
Nog pays for it, doesn't he? He does the deal. Nog's paying for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a really good, strong episode, and it is a break from the main.
Well, it begs the question once again. Nog is a Starfleet officer. Where is he getting his cash from?
Oh, he had it stashed from his
Ferengi cash.
We do know he does dodgy deals. We've seen it a few episodes.
Oh, you don't even have to go there. Go back to his earlier ones where he's selling kind of like hectares of land. He got a payout for that, and he kept it. It's
and you know what? Quark's a big softy, really. I think out of gratitude for what Vic's done to help Nog, I think Quark would be quite happy leaving this running. So
I'm telling you, it's Jake Nog Enterprises or whatever they call the bullshit.
It could be the No J Emporium.
No J Emporium, that's it.
Right, let's move on to Chimera then, which is because It's Only a Paper Moon was a break from the main thrust of the war in order to do a character study. and it's always worth shouting out, like we say it all the time, but that was a character study on a character who isn't even part of the main cast, but the amount of good writing that DS9 did over the years, it may as well have been a member of the main cast.
I always have to say something on this. I think, like, we know who the main cast are who appear in the titles, but I reckon if you asked a lot of people, they would name your Nogs and your Roms and your Garrix and your Goldie Cats as main cast of DS9. They wouldn't think of them as supporting actors. And
No.
Because in that many episodes, they've got to go, like, in a TV series that runs nowadays, that maybe runs 10 episodes a season and maybe runs 4 or 5 seasons, every one of them actors have been in more episodes of DS9.
Yeah, and
in the whole thing.
I'd also give you that Aaron Eisenberg in the last series, I think, becomes more central. He's in most episodes.
Yeah, you do.
He probably is by
it
now.
Does escalate,
but he doesn't start off as one. You're right.
But he's been there the entire story.
It has.
As is a lot of these characters who are down as being just supporting actors, and it's like they've been there for 7 seasons.
Well, it's not about being there for 7 seasons, about how many episodes you're in, if you're in every episode, which he wasn't to begin with. So I take Jim's point. But I mean, getting onto this Chimera episode, I mean, you've got a really big kind of like not B plot, but it's kind of like sub to the A plot where the Klingons get involved. I was really surprised Martok seemed absent. I don't know if he was busy that week, but seems to be
that's a very good point.
Weird.
Well,
he's mentioned, but we don't see him.
Well, let's bear in mind that he's a supporting actor, so you've probably got that thing where we know how TV works. If you put them in X amount of episodes of a season, you've got to call them main characters, and they get a different wage structure and percentage structure.
Sorry, just checking. You guys know he's playing the Changeling here, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just checking. You were playing it so straight. I was like, you do know that. Sorry, stellar acting, guys. I didn't mean to break the wall, but it's like,
and
are they playing it really well?
That's one of my issues with this episode is that J.G. Hertzler has a very distinctive voice, and he does a lot to modulate it and not sound like Martok in this episode, but he can't 100% get away with it, and it does break my immersion in this episode that it's so clearly the same actor, and it's one of them where you're like, yeah, he's a great actor, but why didn't you just get somebody else? Like,
I mean, next you'll be saying that the Klingon who came on going, Gordon's alive.
You can always tell when you're with JJ.
Next you'll be saying the guy who came on and said, Gordon's alive. Like, that was obvious. It was Brian Blessed. I mean, geez, you never guess it. Yeah. Some people just have a too distinctive voice to...
Yeah, it's one of them, like, why didn't you just get someone else?
But he does play it really well.
He does play it really well, yeah.
It can also be. I've got a theory.
He's a character actor. He's not a main cast member. This role has obviously been there. He's gone for the audition and he's got it.
Oh, I don't think he's auditioned. I think this is like either they've said, here, like, this is the other part. You're not in this episode. Do you want to come along and play? Yeah. I think it might also be that originally they signed him up for so many episodes. One of the episodes, the plot line didn't pan out or something, or they changed it. And so they brought him in as this other character, because that has happened. Because if you sign up for 12 episodes, you've got to use the going 12 episodes, for instance.
Or another thing could be that maybe they had a different guest star lined up to play Laz who dropped out, and last minute they were like, right, who do we know that we can get pretty quickly? Who do we know that happened with? A good job. What?
Who do we know who that happened with in Next Generation? We chatted to him. He told us in person.
Did he?
Brunswick Schmavid Schmorden.
Oh, yeah.
Schmavid Smorner, even.
David
yes, of course. David Warner, yes.
Yeah.
He was brought in last moment. Like, that I cannot believe, because he was just so great.
Yeah,
and
that
you've got to say Herzog is amazing in this as well. great performance. Just a very distinctive voice, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, yeah, we start with Odo and O'Brien on the runabout, and we get the requisite Odo and Kira a cute moment, which is, oh, I've bought her chocolates and I've bought her a little knick-knack.
I bought this knick-knack.
Yeah.
And then I bought her chocolates as well. And O'Brien rightly so goes. And O'Brien's playing bloke code. You can, if you are going back, you cannot go, I'm buying my girlfriend or wife present, and she's up, and not let your mate know. So he looks a pile of shit.
It's a fair point,
And bloke code, Odo should have let him have one of them presents.
I say bloke code doesn't mean you announce what you're buying for your girlfriend. Like, yeah, I think
but I agree with Elliot. Once he's called on it, Odo should have been like, yeah, you're right, mate. I don't want you getting in trouble.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I think Keiko would be more suspicious of that, because I don't think O'Brien has once brought Keiko a present back, and nor should he.
But he's looking like, I'm off to look a pile of shit here because you're buying presents, you're bringing presents.
Exactly.
Honestly, I think you guys got more out of this. I thought it was an underbaked cold open from my liking. I thought
it was
he's broken the code here, is Odo.
I just thought they had like 3 lines.
He can fuck off to the deserted mine and stay there.
Yeah, if you watch for the rest of the series now, it's never the same again between O'Brien and Odo after this.
He has his broken code.
I think what O'Brien needs to realise, though, is they're married, him and Keiko. Keiko isn't expecting the chocolates. He isn't expecting anything. Whereas Odo
doesn't matter.
Just got into relation. No, listen a second. Listen, Elliot. Come on, you got 2 of these, 1 of these. You got. I think like when you're in a new relationship, you do more with this shit. You go away for a day and like you just went down to the shops or something, and you've got to bring back a present. I think this is new relationship against marriage.
Yeah, maybe, but the thing is, O'Brien was okay with it to an extent when he just got the one thing. But then when he had 2 presents for her, that was like, no, you've got to let me have one of them.
Yeah, that's taking it too far.
Odo broke the code.
He should have got something for his wife if he really cared. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No.
Wow.
It's how Odo's done it.
I'm not your
and it's opened the floodgates as well.
And the thing is, Odo's playing with the knick-knack that he had no reason to, but then he makes a point of showing off that he has the chocolates before saying that he also got a chocolate. So O'Brien sees that he's done this. He totally broke the code here, did Odo.
And it's opened up the floodgates because if he gets Keiko a present, he's got to get Molly a present. And if he gets Molly a present, he's got to get Hiroyoshi a present.
Oh, and that is a different thing. You don't buy anything for your kids when you're going on hollybobs.
That's it. Odo's just ruined that man's marriage completely.
Brian's being a bit of a dick.
No, it's Odo's fault. Because if Odo hadn't brought Kira anything, they wouldn't have noticed.
They've only been
exactly.
Oh, no, they've only been away for a day, so now it doesn't matter about the present, is what you're saying. You're just arguing.
No, it did. It shouldn't matter about the present, but the fact that Odo's done it makes the difference.
Exactly. Exactly. It's Odo has created this situation that didn't need to exist.
Yes. And then he's got 2 presents and won't share with O'Brien to get O'Brien out of the shit.
Are we just doing half an hour of this shitty cold open, which they didn't bother writing?
Yeah, that's it now.
Like they gave it 2 lines for this cold open. It's just crap.
Okay,
and we're spending more time on this than we probably will have for the rest of the episode.
Most likely. So we find a spacefaring changeling. But I do like the fact that he calls himself a metamorph. It's just a nice little detail that this changeling was raised on a different planet and so has its own name for itself. So I just thought
before he knew.
Yeah, exactly. So I like the fact that it's just a little bit of flavour to the background that I really like.
They also have when they had that guy who had the little pendant which morphed.
He was the first one to use the word. No, he was the first one to use the word changelings.
Oh, I thought Odo had used something else, or like Odo had used.
No, he did say changelings. Yeah.
One of the thing I do like about Lars is you can see the similarities to Odo's makeup and that, but you can see subtleties in the face that these differences because he's from a different alien world.
Yeah,
he's based himself on a different alien. Yeah, but there is a consistency with the smoothness of the features, which does imply that that is consistent across all changelings in the solid form that they're most comfortable in. So we know they can do perfect imitations of anybody else.
This is tricky, but feathers and flame are okay. Those are
copying someone else is easy, but we can't do our own form.
Yeah,
I think
that's why it's in flame. We can't do our own form. Easy.
It's a bit
we start right from the start getting these contrasts between how Lars has lived and how Odo's lived, and most strikingly we find out he's been among solids for a lot longer, and he feels like he moved on from humanoids, and he's a bit of a knob, is Lars, really, isn't he? Because he takes this sort of high and mighty attitude of, you're just young and don't worry, you'll understand one day.
I'm going to stop you from doing what I did wrong.
I saw the fact that they also called back because they mentioned the 100 previously, which went out.
Yes.
That's a lovely little callback, and it's like he's one of the 100. It's if anything, I kind of wish we'd had a few more of them pop up every now and then. Just pop it out, not too much, but.
There's a great DS9 novel, I believe it's called The Siege by Peter David, and it will be full of contradictions now because it was written very early in the series run, but it's all about another changeling that I think works as an assassin or something, and Odo and this changeling have to like fight it out, and so, the books are never canon anyway, but I think that one will have a lot of contradictions in it. But it being a Peter David Star Trek book, it's a cracking read. So
it's not like in Star Wars where until the recent movies, every book was carefully crafted so as not to contradict anything, and it all made a beautiful like Star Trek was like, it's a story we want to tell, fuck it. And when the TV show wanted to do something different, it just did.
Well, the difference with Star Wars was when a lot of the books were being written before Disney acquired Star Wars, they only had 6 movies to worry about. Doesn't that even go before the prequels? I think they start those, and the prequels were
there were books.
There was, but until Disney got it and you started getting series and more movies, etc. Star Wars only had 6 movies that you didn't have to contradict. It's a lot different with Star Trek when you're looking at the sheer number of episodes and time.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm saying this is a good thing. I kind of like the fact that Star Trek were like, look, this is a good story. It's based on what we know currently from the TV show, movies, whatever.
But
and when the TV show needs to contradict it, of course they're not going to read through every fucking novel.
That's why they've always said that the books, the grit, the enjoyable, the good, they're based on the worlds, but they're not canon. And they've always stuck to that. The books are not canon. The problem with Star Wars is they said that the books were canon because they only had to worry about 6 movies.
Yeah, but even then, Star Wars had about 5 levels of canon. There was canon, which was George Lucas canon, which was the highest level of canon. Then there was alpha canon, beta canon. Honestly, it was more confusing than it. And let's be honest, George Lucas couldn't write 3 prequel movies that managed to not contradict his original movies. So, anyway.
Yeah, but you know what I mean about like the whole point is that Star Trek has always said the books are fun, but they're not canon.
You don't remember the bit where Darth Vader says to Luke, "It's like I am your father, and also, those fucking droids you hang around with. I built those. What are you doing with them?" You don't remember?
Oh yeah, that's in book 97, section 3. So anyway, Lars then eventually they link, and Lars decides that he loves it. He can't get enough of it. He's mad for it. the dirty bugger even wants to link on the promenade in front of everyone else.
Let's be fair, though.
That's an Asbo, is that?
Let's be fair. Odo is really eager to link with him. It's Odo who starts it. And we've seen previously Odo with the female founder who wanted to link all the time, to the point where he nearly fucked up them taking the station back and got Ron killed.
I will say this, though,
absolutely.
even though Lars is playing the dick and he wants to do stuff in public, this sounds really dodgy, but he wants to do stuff in public, which Odo just isn't happy about. But I do there are some, like, what I like about this episode is Lars makes some good points. Like, you know,
he does.
It is like Odo's ashamed of who he is. It is like here he is having evidence to back up what he's saying when the Klingons start on him for basically just existing there. Yeah, he's got some really good point about how conflicted Odo is. Like later on, if anything, I think the way they play it in this episode kind of excuses every way Odo is, because it's like he's on our side. But it's like, no, I think it is a valid question of like, and they sort of do it a bit at the end where he kind of like lets go a bit more. But I do think there is some interesting questions here about who Odo is and why he kind of chooses what he does around humans.
But you also have the thing that, like, right from the start of this, they imprisoned Lars for nothing apart from being a changeling.
Yeah.
It's not a foundry. It's one of the hundreds, or one of the 100. So he has nothing to do with the founders. So you've immediately got Odo is on the back foot and arguing, look, what are you holding him for? He has done nothing wrong.
We've got something from the Facebook user. Lars was kind of a reminder of what Odo could have turned out like if he'd gone a little crazy. I don't think he's crazy. I think some of the stuff, like his experiences have led him to here. I don't think it's crazy. You could say he's wrong-footed about humans because he hasn't experienced every solid, so how can you say they're all evil? But his experiences led him here. He talks about some of the stuff he's gone through. So yeah, I don't think crazy applies to him.
Lars even articulates it, and we know he's right because they've linked and Odo doesn't contradict him. And the thing that it comes down to is Odo's feelings for Kira. Like Lars says to him, don't give me that shit, because I've read your mind. You would be a founder if it wasn't for her. It's not not because you don't believe in the war. It's not some grand philosophical thing. It is literally Kira, and that's it.
And they've been quite consistent with that, because they do that with the female founder as well. Like there's quite a few times where they basically prove Odo really only does it for Kira. But if anything, I think like it is a bit of a shame, because when you see all the other relationships he has, it's like, well, none of that would sway you a little bit. I mean, I
think it would. I think it would a little bit, and I think he is philosophically opposed to the founders and everything they're doing. But I think the lure of being back with his own people is that strong that Kira is the thing that tips it over. And if she wasn't there, then that is what he'd be like, you know. Well, he would be a founder, whereas Lars is more of a free spirit. And it does raise this interesting idea throughout the episode where he's like, let's go start our own changeling society then, and we'll go round up the rest of the 100. We won't rejoin the founders because we don't like that idea.
And like Lars has obviously got that from linking with Odo, and he doesn't like the idea of what they're doing.
There's a really good point from the comment, just very quickly. It's got to be said. Can you blame him? Kira's hot. A fair comment.
That is a fair comment.
It is a very fair comment.
Particularly with the season 7 hair. But Lars, like he says early on, he's like, well, I can understand not wanting anything to do with solids, but why bother controlling them? That doesn't interest him. He just doesn't have that side of it that the founders do. What else do we get then?
Can I ask you guys a question just while we're on that point, though? Sure. Do you think that Lars' version of the mini Great Link, if you will, with the 100 as many as they can find, do you think it would have been that different from the other one, just because he seems to want exactly the same things as they do? So
No, it
I
doesn't.
think what
it
I
doesn't
just
want,
talked
it
about
doesn't,
there is the distinction. I don't think they'd try and take over other people. I think they'd
Yeah,
just
they
it'd
just
be
want
like
to be.
splendid isolation.
Just isolation.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's find a world that's got animal life, but it hasn't got sentient life, or
Yeah.
sentient, or it hasn't got sort of humanoid intelligent life. It's just got animals running around, and let's go there and enjoy ourselves, and we can do stuff.
Yeah, I
and,
think that's it. I don't think he wants to conquer on any level. I
No.
think he just literally wants nothing to do
It
with
wa-
any of them.
It wants to be able to exist as a changeling with nothing to do with any of them.
Yeah.
Which I think I think if you actually look at what the founders want, is also very similar. They just want to be left alone on their world. But the way they've gone about doing that is to create the Vorta and the Jem'Hadar to subjugate the rest of the galaxy to keep them away from one planet.
That's
to leave
it.
them alone.
Their fear of the solids has driven them to, right, well, we're going to have to control the entire galaxy so we can be on its own. Whereas lads is like, well, we'll just go to this quiet planet and it'll be right.
Yeah.
But if anyone goes near, we're fucking taking them out.
They could go to Eden. Eden would be perfect for them. I doubt if that acid would affect them in the slightest bit.
All I'm saying is, I bet Lars would have had really good defense on that planet, though. If anyone came anywhere near their airspace, they were getting shut the fuck down that second.
The bit where he meets all of Odo's friends is quite good. You get Dax is trying to be nice and saying, like, oh, it must be great being able to fly through space. And Lars just sort of goes, yeah, well, you can't do it, and you're all a bunch of bastards anyway.
And you'll never experience it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose so. Anyway, nice meeting you.
Yeah. And he does start being a bit of a dick because he's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn into fog and just fog up the whole...
Yeah, that was like, okay, yes, you can do this, but should you do this? And you're 200 years old, you've been around humanoids, you know how they can react. You are being a dick by doing this, that you know you are going to get a reaction.
The thing is, he's trying to convince Odo, which again, he's got some good points about, you're holding yourself back this, that, and the other way when you don't have to. Whereas he goes to the other extreme of like, let's make people feel uncomfortable and threatened, as opposed to let them get used to you and go, it's like, okay, I would like to actually have a bit of a section to go around as a cloud. Is that right? You know, he doesn't play the game at all. It's like, he's decided because all the solids he's met have been dodgy. He's not going to be the same.
And Odo sort of impulsively starts trying to defend him, going like, he was just being a changeling. What's your problem? And it's like, oh, come on, Odo. We know even you don't believe that. You're not happy about this.
But this is like, there's this thing with the Klingons, like when they go for him and all that. And the thing is, he stabbed the one who didn't stab him. He went for the other one.
I was just going to...
But it's dodgy. Like, he was defending himself, but he knew that they couldn't hurt him because they tried to stab him.
Still, though, I would say the fact that Klingons, their argument is, and like, Odo says, like, oh, since when are they arguing legal points? I think, like, Odo's kind of got a bit of a point that they were being aggressive towards him. They threatened him with a knife. Okay, he shouldn't have been there as a gas, but they're hardly blameless in this.
Star Trek 6. Klingons argued a legal point.
They did, it's true.
But in a very Klingon way. This wasn't very Klingon the way they did.
Odo
to be fair, the Klingons, and we have seen this a few times, that Klingons, we know how they are warlike and all that, but when they are interacting with the Federation and they want to be dicks and get their own way because the Federation have broken Federation rules, they will do the legal route.
They will.
And we have seen this before.
But I'm saying...
they are dicks. But they are right. Lars did surround them in a threatening way.
I'm
It
just
did.
saying that they don't in any of the other episodes I've seen. I've never heard them go. It's like, oh well, but surely, Your Honor, he would have known that he couldn't hurt them. Like they came at him as warriors. Why would they argue that? Because that makes them seem
True.
warrior-like. That argues against their honor, I would say.
Another
It's
argument, though, that falls through, it's like Odo all the way through is going, well, they wouldn't have done that if he wasn't a changeling. Like, well, if anyone else turned into a fog on the promenade, you'd arrest them. So,
Yeah.
you know, Odo,
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
got to apply the same standards both ways.
I'm not saying Odo's right. I'm just saying neither of the Klingons purely right. Their arguments are a bit weak sauce for me.
If Quark were there with a fog machine throwing it out onto the promenade, his ass wouldn't touch the floor. He'd be in that cell that quickly. Odo would be after him.
Oh yeah, God, the Ferengi foam and fog passes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Legendary. The amount of times he's been the clink for that.
Yeah, if Quark had an unsanctioned foam party on the promenade, Odo would have him banged to rights.
Yeah.
So it's working both ways. Anyway, so I do feel there's a little bit of coldness from Odo when he's talking to Kira. He's like, yeah, well, I've thought about it, you know, so I might go off and live with Lars. And it's like, hang on. You brought her a trinket and some chocolates at the start of this episode.
Oh, let's not start this again. We've only got so long left. Like we're already at the hour. We could be going on 2 hours if you start the bloody.
Not going to go back. I just thought it was, considering how besotted with her we know Odo to be, that's like his main character trait. It quite surprised me that he even reveals to her that there's a part of him that likes the idea of going off with Lars. I was just I didn't expect him to say that.
I think that's because of how besotted he actually is with Kira.
Yeah.
He's being honest. And
probably.
And like Lars said, you would be with the Link if it wasn't for Kira.
Mm.
And he's being honest, and he's going, look, he's my own kind. Being linked is natural to me. I feel really, really good when I feel normal.
When he's inside me.
Yeah.
Like,
And
basically,
this
they're
gives
just inside each other.
This gives him a chance to do that without having to join an evil dictatorship as well, which must be quite nice, you know?
Yeah.
And also, there's the deleted scene, which I don't know if you guys have seen, but like he goes out of the quarters, he sees O'Brien in the corridor, and he goes, "Oh, you think this is bad? Like, what do I get every night with Keiko? You should be in there. Jesus, give me the fucking chocolates already."
Did any of us buy for even a second, though, that Odo was going to leave?
No.
So it's a bit of a false bit of drama at the end, because we know ultimately he's not going to.
I think it was more about, like, I do think they kind of wanted us to fall for that, but I think the main thing was Kira making that gesture.
Yeah, it's showing that Kira is willing to let him go. That's the big thing.
Him.
Has there been any future stories written about Lars?
No, because he's dead.
Well, I was just about to say because he's dead. Because we know Odo is the one who infected the Great Link.
No,
and
that's it. Odo.
He's joined with Lars, so he's infected Lars. And
Odo kills Lars this episode unwittingly, but he does. He sentences him to death.
Yeah.
So unless he went out and found him after to cure him, and any others that Lars managed to meet are also going to die now.
Well, I've wondered about this because obviously Lars is near the wormhole here. He's near Kardashian space. He's linked with Odo. He obviously knows where the founders are now. So from here, when Odo says, "I'm not coming with you," Lars wants to find his own kind. Has he gone straight to Kardashian space anyway and joined up with the founders?
Maybe,
found another.
Also, you're mentioning the kind of disease which is going through the founders at this stage.
Yeah.
Does this make it an LTI, a link transmitted infection?
I think it does, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what we've got to call it from now on. It's the LTI that they've got.
It was designed as that. Okay, so Odo decides to leave, not to leave because of love. And then, I don't know how else to put this, so I'm just going to say how I've written in my notes. They do a weird sex thing at the end. That's what's going on. I know it's meant to be this, oh, I get to know you in a way that, no, that if that camera had stayed on that scene, there was some filthy stuff was about to go off.
Yeah, that was starting into a major weird sex scene.
And I've got to say, bravo, Star Trek, gay sex right in the 90s, early 2000s at this stage. I mean, fair play.
I meant with Kira and Odo at the end.
Oh, I thought you meant the linking stuff. Yeah, but that's also.
Oh no, absolutely.
They're being sex positive all through this episode. It's nice.
Yeah, no, it is. But yeah, I think something. I don't even want to think about what they were doing after the cameras cut there because. And well done to Nana Visitor for managing to pretend that there's some stuff swirling about and making her orgasmic. Well done.
She actually does look like it's all going on, doesn't she?
She does, yeah.
And that's obviously done on green screens. She's actually on her own.
That's
Very
why
good
Kira, whenever she went to Earth, she could never visit London. The fog would have just driven her nuts.
Well, that's it. The fog's all lies. Anyway, we'll wrap up there then. So, as I said earlier in the episode, next week we begin covering effectively the last 11 episodes of Deep Space Nine. We're not taking a break between any of them. We are skipping over one episode before we get there, but once we start next week,
bada bing, bada bang.
I was just going to relate back to the episode. The only thing I did think was, sorry, I know we were kind of wrapping up, but just like I thought they've got Jay Herzog there. I know they probably didn't want to put him in Garon makeup right after he's been in the Changeling makeup, but like they mentioned Garon, it's like I felt like he should have walked in on that stage. Like they could have filmed it next week while they're filming an episode with him. It just seemed really weird. They mentioned Garon. It's like Garon won't be too happy with this. Like, why would you mention him when you know that's the one actor you're not going to use? Oh, sorry, Martok. Pardon me. That's
Martok. But yes, yeah, they do. You're right.
It just felt weird to me. Why mention him when you're
maybe it was intended to be one of them little winks. Like
maybe.
You won't be seeing Martok this week.
I will give a little clue. Our last episode of the Dominion War will be going out live from a live show. We hope, or we think so, on the 14th of March. So
that's the plan.
Yourselves.
Well, why don't we just say it? I mean, like, is it a secret? I mean,
no, we can announce it now. Obviously,
Let's
have all the scheduling.
Yeah, we're going to Sci-Fi Weekend, and we're going to do what we leave behind.
We are, yeah. We a happy accident or our immaculately good planning.
We planned it. We planned this since the 14th of April, 2022. Sorry, 2021. We've been planning for our last episode to go out on the 14th of March, 2024.
There you go. That's how well we
go away from
it.
the pod for a certain amount of time. I'd come back just at this time. We'd have this time when I break my arm, when Jim went. It was so intricate, this plan.
We did. We gave it a lot of thought, but
I mean, it was a bit mean
aligned nicely. That we will be ready to cover what we leave behind, the finale of Deep Space Nine. And we plan on doing that live from the Reed Cutters pub on the first day of the Sci-Fi Weekend, the Thursday. So apologies to anyone who doesn't arrive early, but it's like we haven't got an exact time yet. So we need to know when.
Probably about 1:30.
That's the plan.
We were about 1:30 last time. So
we were. So we're aiming for around then, but we've yet to finalise an exact time. But we will be doing that live from the pub at the Sci-Fi Weekender, so come and join us for that. And then on the Saturday, we are presenting When Trek Goes Wrong at the Movies.
Part one.
Part one. What are we doing?
Well,
what?
No, because
we are going to eventually do the.
Because eventually we're going to do part two.
Yeah, but what's that going to be? Like, I thought we had them all covered. Anyway, okay.
No.
Anyway.
Not at all.
Anyway. So, next week we'll be back with more episodes of Deep Space Nine. In the meantime, you can get in touch with us where retrekpod@gmail.com.
Sorry, banners.
At retrekpod on Twitter, X, everything else. We're on all the socials. Elliot's got Retrek Model Studios on YouTube, where you're currently working on.
It's the Spitfire. I got nothing done last weekend.
Spitfire.
You were around mine last weekend, so you know what I was doing instead.
Yeah. And Dr. Squee, what have we got going on?
Well, tomorrow, because I have got another so I'll even tell you, not this Thursday, but next Thursday, I got Madam Misfit coming back to the pod, so we're going to be talking about Sci-Fi Weekender. But in the meantime, because I did have the guest for this week, we've got an interview I did a few years back with Lee Sullivan as part of Squee Fest, which is my 24-hour video marathon, but it's never been available on its own, so I've cut that out and put it up there. It's going to be going on the YouTube channel and Facebook tomorrow. So dogsquee.com, youtube.com/Dr. Squee, or facebook.com/The Dr. Squee Show.
Fantastic. And thanks for trekking with us this time. We will see you next time on the Retrek.
Thank you. Goodbye.
LLAP and drone. We're off.
Fascinating.